hello, hello.
All right, welcome everybody to episode 29 of the Third Banner Pod. We got a great show tonight scheduled for you. Going to talk about the win over Murray State just a little bit, preview the Indiana football game this weekend. We've got Sammy Jacobs of the Hoosier Huddle coming on tonight to join us to discuss the game. And we've got 73 days until Cardinal football beats Kentucky. So without further ado, you've got me, Kyle, Ty, and Ross on the show tonight. So guys, what do you know?
Patrick says, "What a bunch of bums." Patrick, you're just mad 'cause you couldn't be on tonight. I'm sorry, man. You just miss being on with our beautiful faces. Connor, good evening.
Feels good to be back,
Hampton's hyped for tonight's episode. Well, I hope we don't disappoint. We're hyped too. How's everybody doing? Ross?
Man, doing good. Work's been really busy trying to handle that business, man. I got put on some ADHD medicine recently, so I'm excited about that opportunity, really, man, because this should help me focus in every facet of my life. You know what I mean? So
got you, man. Hey, all's good. Patrick says we got to entertain him while he does a tax return. Well, I hope we're more entertaining than a tax return. That's a very low bar. Anyway, Ty.
Let's stop this Jets talk while we're. I see Connor talking about something about the Jets. Let's just stop this Jets talk. I'm a Bills fan.
Actually, let's talk if we would talk about the Jets all night, that's fine. Jets, Jets 1-0. Bengals fans in shambles, 0-1.
No.
Couch, welcome.
It feels good to be back, boys. I miss y'all.
Yeah,
man.
we missed you too, man.
Yeah, man, we missed you. You've been MIA.
Freaking vacation. We got Hurricane can do all it wants to me, but it didn't take me away. So we're here, we're back, and I'm ready for the game Saturday. I don't know who all's going, but I'll be there. Section 220.
I'll be there. Three IU fans. I thought it was two. 3 IU fans and 2 Louisville fans. House divided as far as the. So you got to think I live pretty much in central Indiana. So it's an interesting dynamic when Louisville plays IU in either sport. We've been playing basketball for a bit. It can get kind of awkward because me and my nephew are huge Louisville fans. We celebrated one year when we beat them and we're pumped because they all went outside mad. And one of them came back in because he forgot his drink and he wasn't very happy when he saw us jumping up and down. But he got over it, but so I'll be interested in football, see how that goes as well. But I don't know about you guys. I'm a little bit nervous about this game, which we can get into that a bit when we bring on our guests tonight. We have a Hoosier Huddle. Sammy Jacobs is going to be joining us. Now he is a New York native that moved to Indiana to go to school at IU, graduated from IU, stuck around, lives in Indianapolis. He's been running Hoosier Huddle for 10 years now, since 2013, and he is a football-only guy, which for me, as a Louisville fan who follows IU in basketball as probably my distant second favorite team, you don't see many hardcore, or at least I don't see many hardcore IU football fans, so I'm really interested to see what he has to say. He's going to break down IU for us, I'm sure. And then we can talk to him about what we expect or what he can expect from Louisville. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and bring him on. Sammy Jacobs. There we go. Sammy, welcome to the Third Banner Pod, man. We appreciate you being on tonight.
I appreciate you having me on. And, go Jets. It was a little rough there after the first 4 plays, but, we survived and we'll see what happens. But
Sammy,
happy to come on.
I don't know how we won that game, brother. I don't know how we won. That was like a roller coaster of emotions Monday night. I was in shambles after the first 4 minutes.
You gave that little engine that could a chance, man, and he took it straight to the house. You
could ask them in the Discord, man. I was literally in shambles. You might have to put a watch out for me.
I do have to put a pause real quick. The Atlanta Braves are the National League East champions. So
we don't care about that. We don't care. Anyways, let's get into football. So, Sammy, you want to talk about the game this Saturday? What do you expect out of the quarterback position? I know against Ohio State, went with 2 different quarterbacks with Taven Jackson and then Sorsby, correct, is the one that started the game. And then Taven Jackson had a lot. He played a lot in the last game, went 18-21, 236 yards. Who do you think is going to be the quarterback that suits up their starts, that is, on Saturday.
Well, Tom Allen came out on Monday and said that Taven Jackson's the starter going forward, which makes sense. I thought he commanded the offense much better. It wasn't a knock on Brandon Sorsby. He played well too. He's got a good arm, can run. It's been with the program for a couple years, but the offense just flowed better with Taven Jackson in there. It also doesn't hurt that he's the younger brother of Trace Jackson Davis, and from Center Grove, which is a powerhouse program down in Indianapolis. So, there are a lot of things going for him as well. But the offense it moved better with him. It had a better flow. He had better command of the offense. He's going to start. I wouldn't be shocked if you saw both quarterbacks. Maybe not against Louisville, but I don't think you've seen the last of Brandon Sorsby for the rest of the year.
So, Sammy, I wanted to ask, what are some of the key things that when an opponent is looking at IU, what are some of the key strengths you guys have that your go-to things on both offense and defense as far as your styles and schemes?
Yeah, let's start on defense. Indiana brought in a ton of transfers, most notably Andre Carter from Western Michigan. And he was unblockable in the spring game, but you take that with a grain of salt because a lot of people were unblockable against IU's offensive line the last 2 years. But he had 2 tackles for loss against Ohio State. He followed it up again with 2 tackles for loss against Indiana State. He's got that special combination of speed and power coming off the edge. Another guy is Aaron Casey, nicknamed Ace. He wears number 44 for George Taliaferro. For those of you who don't know, he was the first African-American drafted in the NFL, and it's a legacy number for IU, for somebody who embodies, George Taliaferro's work ethic and playing ability. Aaron Casey was the best player on the field, according to the CBS broadcast group, against Ohio State. So he's very good at diagnosing plays, a bigger linebacker. You also have Jacob Magnum Ferrara, who's a 6'4", 240 linebacker coming in from Stanford, who's made plays. And then the defensive line, again, with Marcus Burris, Linnell Carr coming in from West Virginia. It's just a rebuilt defensive line with a new defensive coordinator calling plays, and Matt Guerrieri as well. My biggest question on the defense was the secondary. You lost a lot. You lost guys like All-American Tylen Mullen, all Big Ten players, Jalen Williams, who's now playing with the Vikings. But, all the talk in the preseason was how many yards is Marvin Harrison Jr. going to get and how many touchdowns are they going to score? Well, Indiana held Marvin Harrison Jr. and Emeka Egbuka to 5 catches and 18 yards, which is pretty darn good. And that's where IU fans get frustrated with, man, you had a good defensive plan, and you held them to 23 points, and you did tiddlywink on offense to win that game. On offense for IU, it's the player to watch, Jalen Lucas. He's super fast, small guy, kick returner, but he scored 2 touchdowns on his first 2 carries last year for 25 yards, or last week on 25 yards out. The 2 other backs, and Josh Henderson, he could catch the ball out of the backfield. He's a big bruising back too. And then Christian Turner, transfer from Wake Forest, also spent time at Michigan, can run it up there as well. So it's definitely a different team than the last 2 years, but we'll see. It's what do you take from Ohio State, who's the top 5 team in the country, and what do you take from Indiana State, who's an FCS team who couldn't crack 90 yards? I think the Louisville game's the first real true matchup opponent, true test for IU to see where they are.
Sure. And then going off of that as well, I know for Louisville, we have our strengths and weaknesses. I think some things to look for. If I'm an IU fan and I'm looking at Louisville and I'm thinking, where can I, have some success? Like, I think offensively, I worry a little bit about the scheme. We run a 4-2-5, and thus far, we have not been very aggressive with the blitz. I don't know if that's just because we're holding back. We played Georgia Tech and then we played Murray State, but there hasn't been a whole lot of blitzing. And I noticed Murray State, even though they are Murray State, they did have some plays where quarterback sat back there, and because we were only rushing 4, he was able to throw bombs down the field. And he had some guys. He had guys get downfield. Now, they had one big drop and then just a couple that he missed, and then he hit 1 or 2 of them. Now, they didn't score, but I also consider that they're an FCS team. So against a better Power 5 level team, that's something I'd be trying to exploit if I'm IU on offense. And then I know on defense, I think our biggest concern, and I know there's a little bit of division on this, I can say I'm a little bit concerned about our quarterback play, not because I don't think he's capable of making the intermediate throws, the short throws. I still question if he can stretch a defense, like making a 30, 40-yard pass consistently downfield. One thing I said I wanted to see against Murray State was him aired out a bit more, and they did do that. And he did have some couple of nice throws. So, I know when Coleman was run down there, the pass interference, perfect throw. I believe there was one down the field to who was it? Jamari Thrash, and that was another good one. And they didn't call the pass interference on that one and should have. And then I know he had another nice throw as well. He had the nice slant pattern to Jamari Thrash where he caught it and housed it. That was incredible. But one thing I've noticed is he does not get his feet set on those long throws, and he's late a lot. And he had a couple interceptions against Murray State. And then he had a couple of defensive pass interferences because he threw it so short, the receiver had to turn around, come back to get it, and the defensive back was still chasing the receiver. So he ran into him and was still facing the other way. So it was really kind of like bailed out by the fact that the throws were so off on those 2 throws that it ended up in a PI. But that's a concern for us because if you can't stretch the defense consistently, they're going to play up, you're going to pin your ears back more, and you're not going to be worried about getting beat on the long ball. And that allows you to kind of focus more on the other things. Some things we do well in the passing game are slant routes and out routes. I feel like because they're easier, it's like a quicker decision for him. It seems like when he has to wait and people are rushing him, he starts to kind of get in his head and he's about a half second off. And now maybe some of these guys disagree with me. That's my takeaways. And then our running backs. Now, I think that's where our strength is. I think when I'm looking at it, we really need to run the ball a lot. I think we need to really focus in on the run this game. Not saying IU doesn't have a good defensive line, but I worry that if IU starts bringing pressure on Jack, I'm worried about how he's going to react to that. So I think if we can open up the pass with the run, that's where we need to go. And I don't know how you guys feel about any of that. Or if you guys have anything to add, just to let
I
them
totally
know.
agree with you on the run because so far to date, it seems like that kind of seems to be the strength of our offense. With Jaw's ability to break big runs, and it's had several touchdown runs of very long runs, 20 yards or more. I feel like our run game right now is kind of the strength of our offense. So let's, I'd like to see us kind of set up the whole offensive game plan around that run, kind of like you were saying. So.
Sammy, let me talk to you. You said you got a new defensive coordinator this year, right?
Yep.
What was the consensus with him coming in this year, and how the fans how did they feel about that hire, and what do you all expect him to be? How do you expect him to be as a coordinator this year? Is he more on the aggressive side? Does he take a lot of chances with his guys, or is he? What kind of scheme just tell me something, tell us a little something about him.
So they're going to still run Tom Allen's scheme, which is, again, the 4-2-5. They have that hybrid nickel that IU calls the Husky. Other teams call other things. I'm sure it's like the Cardinal Bird or something or whatever.
Position.
Yeah. And then, they have that bull position, which is that hybrid defensive line, linebacker position. They'll bring the blitz a little bit, but they haven't shown it all that much. They played it pretty safe against Ohio State. They'll bring some pressure. A lot of it is delayed, but the thinking of it was in college football nowadays, the head coach has to be the CEO of the program. With all this NIL stuff and transfer portal, your head coach has so much on his plate that it's hard to be the coordinator and the head coach. So they bring in Matt Guerrieri, who was an analyst at Ohio State last year. He was the defensive coordinator at Duke and worked under Jim Knowles at Duke as well. I love the hire. He's a younger guy. Really reminds me of Kane Womack when Kane Womack came in and Indiana was successful in 2019 and 2020. But, we'll see. It's been 2 games. Guys have stayed healthy, which has been a nice change of pace for Indiana football, is having your best players stay healthy. But so far, it's been a success. You held 2 of the best wide receivers in the country to 18 yards receiving. Yes, it's Indiana State, but you held them under 100 total yards, and their only score came on a fumble return for 75 yards, which has got to drive him crazy if you're a defensive coordinator and you pitch a shutout and the scoop and score is the only thing. But yeah, he's really, and he coaches the secondary. I think the safeties, and they've been really improved this year as well. So, right now Matt Guerrieri might be a guy you could see becoming a head coach in the next couple years somewhere.
I was gonna say, just to follow up on that, like, what is the strength of IU's defense as far as the 3 levels? I saw that you put out a piece that you wrote today or yesterday about the defensive ends against U of L's edges. Trying to contain the edge with U of L's running backs. Maybe you talk about that a little bit. I don't know if the defensive line or the linebackers or the secondary is IU's strength on defense, but how do you see it?
The defensive line is the strongest unit on this defense. The secondary has been a very pleasant surprise. It was just a lot of unknowns, but the defensive line with Andre Carter, Philip Bleedy, and those guys coming in from other programs, they look like a Big Ten defensive line now. You used to go to IU games and IU practices and go, that's the defensive line. It looks like a JV team lining up against varsity, but they now have the bodies up there. And they're starting to build depth up front, especially in the middle. With, Linnell Carr at that bolt position, which is on the edge. You have Miles Jackson behind him, and he plays, there's a little bit of a drop-off, but they're pretty even. It's no longer, there's some other walk-on or, no star player coming in. So the defensive line is a strength. However, I get that they were playing against Ohio State, but a lot of Ohio State's success came on the edge, came with the run on the edge, and stuff like that. So I would say that's a strength for you, is getting to the edge and getting speed, and it's kind of a weakness for IU. We'll see who could exploit it better. I know Jeff Brom, he's an elite play caller, and he has an elite feeling for the game. And if he didn't coach at Purdue and beat IU a couple of times, he's a guy I would really enjoy watching.
Yeah. I think it's interesting that y'all run a 4-2-5. Y'all don't blitz very much, or haven't at least. And then we're experiencing the same thing. And I think both teams thus far defensively have felt pretty content with the way it's gone defensively overall. I would say, like, you're worried about the edges a little bit. As far as Louisville goes, I think our feeling, we had a couple of safeties get hurt in the same practice, and one of them was arguably our best defensive player out of the bunch. We've got a lot of talent from the portal and just guys who have been here a bit and have just worked their way up and been really good players. But that really hurt us, and I did notice that was a thing against Murray without bringing pressure. When the quarterback had some time, I felt like if they could beat the defensive back, the cornerback that was on there, and got to that second level to the safeties, I felt like that there was times where, we could see the hole there where an MJ Griffin, for example, would have plugged it. And so that's something, IU, if I'm an IU guy, I'm looking at that. I'm thinking, okay, is there something we can capitalize off of that? And if I'm a Louisville fan, I'm hoping that we blitz to take some of that time away. But I think it's going to be an interesting matchup with the same defensive schemes. IU's defense has impressed me so far from what I've been able to watch. That's where I'm a little nervous. That's where Jack Plummer comes into me. We're going to have to figure out how to run the ball consistently. And then Jack Plummer's going to have to get better. He's flat out going to have to get better. We're going to have to make a business decision.
Yeah.
Yeah, one thing to make you maybe feel a little bit better about your secondary, IU's not going to announce injury updates until 2 hours before the game. It's mandated by the Big Ten that they put out these availability reports. But Cam Camper, who's arguably IU's best receiver, left the Indiana State game early, did not return. But I would think that he plays. He was still dressed in pads. EJ Williams, transfer from Clemson, is another deep threat on IU. Looked like he hurt his hand during the game, did not return. We'll see. I think a lot of people's good feelings on IU will depend if those two play and how well they can play, because those are your two deep threats. Taven Jackson did hit Cam Camper on a 56-yard play that should have been ruled a touchdown after review, but it was nullified by a guy by the center, wandering around downfield a little too much, which he got called twice for those. But that's early season college football where they're, let's throw a flag on everything. But yeah, those are two guys to keep an eye out, before the game. And, when that injury availability report comes out, if you're an IU fan, you hope that they're not on the out list and that they're, maybe on the questionable or just not on the list at all.
Sammy, I want to ask you a question. Before I do that, I want to shout out my boy Uriah English, first time checking in our pod. Uriah, thanks for checking in, brother. Appreciate you. Sammy, I have a question, and I'm sorry if this is a little long-winded for you, but it's about Tom Allen and his status at IU.
I'll answer right now. He's not on the hot seat.
Really? Okay. So what I was gonna
your long-winded answer.
Well, what I was gonna say is, IU had a great season in 2019. Went 8-5. In 2020, obviously the COVID shortened year, 6-2, another great year. He signed a big 7-year extension in March of 2021, and since then he's 7-19.
Yeah, it was a $20 million buyout, so he's not going anywhere.
So you think it's the buyout over? I mean, what's the pulse of the fan base and everybody else?
It's half the fan base is in on him, half the fan base is out on him. As dumb as it sounds, that LEO is polarizing. I don't know why. It's a great message. Even if you're not an IU fan, love each other. The world needs more of that, right? We just need to love each other, get along, and that stuff. And half the fan base is like, this is dumb. And there's still, there's still like, we need an old white dude to yell at people like Bob Knight and stuff like that. But it doesn't work like that. They still haven't gotten over Kevin Wilson, departing the way he departed too. But that's all 8 years ago. Tom Allen just passed John Pont on the all-time wins list at 31, which it speaks to the history of IU football. The fifth or sixth winningest coach has 31 wins. They've been playing football for 135 years.
Wow.
But yeah, he's become a polarizing figure. But his buyout is $20 million. If you weren't going to pay the $25 million buyout last year, you're not paying it this year, unless something crazy happens, a Mel Tucker issue or a Pat Fitzgerald issue, which I don't foresee. But not a lot of people foresaw those things either. But he's not on the hot seat.
Because it just seems like from an outside position, and I live here in Indiana, my family is IU fans, so I know a little bit, but I'm not a fan. So it just seems like he's a great man, and I think he's a good coach. But 7-19 in 3 seasons is, since signing a huge extension, is just not it. So it seems off.
Yeah, a lot went into it, and I hate going back to 2021 and 2022, but you had Michael Penix blow out his knee around Thanksgiving of 2020. I think they rushed him back to open the year at Iowa. I don't think he was ready. He throws 3 picks, 2 pick sixes in that game, and he just never looked healthy and comfortable. I know I saw a question in there about him transferring IU. I'm not mad at him, and I'm not mad at IU. And sometimes you just need a new start. You know, it was really tough to count on him being hurt every year. And, you know, maybe Michael Penix, and in hindsight, he did. He needed a new setting, and he went with Kalen DeBoer, who was his offensive coordinator in 2019 and is having a tremendous time in Washington. But you also lost your backup quarterback that year, and your offensive line was terrible, and you're starting. I mean, they started a walk-on quarterback, a walk-on running back against Purdue in the bucket game in 2021, and then last year you're moving the ball against Purdue. You're looking good, and all of a sudden Dexter Williams blows out his knee. You know, you don't want to expect the outcome, but IU's going in for a 14-0 or 14-3 lead, and that game's a whole different tenor. If Purdue wasn't stopping that run, they just, you know, IU broke it out against Michigan State, came back and beat them the week before, and it just looked crisper and better. But you know, it was a shocking fall from that 6-2 where you thought this program was ready to take the next step. And I saw another comment in the comment section about IU dropping Louisville. And I know I'm probably going to get booed in the comment section. That's fine. I'm from New York.
Let them have it, Sammy. Let them have
Let's hear it.
This series should never have been scheduled. It shouldn't have. It was the basketball series. This is a tie on that. And it's not because I don't want to play Louisville. It's, you got to stop doing things for football that do with basketball. Why are you throwing football under the bus because of basketball? So what, you know, Indiana and Louisville football is not a rivalry. They play twice. There's in the mid 80s. It's not, you know, as cool as it'd be to create a rivalry. It's just not smart. And I wish the IU Kentucky rivalry would come back, but that ended in 2005. You know, the Big Ten went to 9 conference games, which I dislike. But Indiana's stuck in the Big Ten East, playing Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State, Michigan State. Now you're adding USC, Washington, Oregon, UCLA. You need to build the program. You got to follow the Kansas State model, which is you schedule 3 or 4 wins. You take your transfers, and you just get to 6 for a while. You build your program, go to bowl games, build your fan base, you know, build your facilities and things like that. It's been done before. It's been done at Kansas State. It's been done at Wisconsin. It's been done at Iowa. You know, as much fun as Saturday might be, I was so happy that on Monday that they announced that they got out of it. And that's no disrespect to Cardinal fans. It was just, I was so mad when they announced the series because it was, well, in aligning with basketball, we're going to play Louisville in football. And this was, you know, Louisville's a good program. You don't, you know, if you're looking to make bowl games, and it'd be different if you had 4 non-conference games. Then you have a little bit more flexibility to do these things, which is why I've been a proponent of the Big Ten going back to 8 games. Then you could play a Louisville or a Kentucky or, you know, whatever regional rivalry you want to be in.
Yeah.
I actually agree with it's unpopular because I know a lot of Louisville fans were like, first off, and I know we're not going to talk too much about basketball. I will say that any money we can get right now from backing out of the schedule, we appreciate it because I'm assuming that money can be allocated. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm not in athletics. I don't know how they.
We're looking to use that money elsewhere, if you know what I mean.
Yes, that's all I'm going to say about that. That being said, as far as I understand completely. Like as an IU, as if I'm an IU fan and I'm in the Big Ten and I'm playing that kind of schedule, and you're not there yet. Let's just be honest, you're not where you want to be yet. Now, if IU had developed into based on that kind of schedule, had gotten a couple of guaranteed wins, then we're able to squeak a couple out that maybe were upsets in the Big Ten, make a couple of bowl games. Like you said, you can build off of that and then become gradually better. And it sort of kind of creates a domino effect and the friction starts to add up. And then you can become the type of program that's a bigger program. And then at that time, maybe you can look at scheduling a more difficult type of gauntlet type schedule.
Yeah, but
to do it, or at least in my
college
opinion,
football strength of schedule does not matter. Like I have a lot of IU fans. Well, we got to play a hard schedule to get ready for the Big Ten. First of all, there's no preseason games in college football. So if you're going to call them preseason games, just get out of my mentions. And IU opened up with Ohio State. So who are
Right.
does playing Louisville in week 3 really prepare you to play Ohio State in week 1? No. It stinks for the fan bases. I get that. You really, really want both programs to be at that point where they can play each other and stuff like that. And I love college football. And whether it's IU, Purdue, Notre Dame, Kentucky, Louisville, it's fun when those teams are good and the region is into it. So
yeah,
that's my take on that. But we could go back to Saturday's game.
So we were talking about quarterbacks a minute ago. I know that you said for anybody that's just joining in, we got Sammy Jacobs here with Hoosier Huddle. I know that you said when we first got you on here that Taven Jackson was going to start. Tom Allen said Taven Jackson was going to start. I want to know a little bit about him. We have a special admiration for a certain Jackson, that stepped in when he got on campus. I mean, how is Taven Jackson revered, thus far amongst the fans? What are his strengths? I'll be honest, I don't even know what year he is. Is he a sophomore?
He's a redshirt freshman.
Redshirt freshman. So I imagine there's going to be a little bit of growing pains, but like you said, the offense it sounds like he can do things that the other quarterback can't do. You know what I mean?
Very athletic. Very athletic.
Yeah. So
his brother's Trace Jackson Davis. That's interesting.
Yeah. So I mean, is he a type of quarterback right now? Like, if you give him happy feet, he's not going to be able to make throws down the field right now.
He'll escape the pocket. That's one of his strengths is he could throw on the run, and if he doesn't throw it, he could run it. As one of you said, he's very athletic. Both quarterbacks are very similar. I mean, their body types were a little different, but they're very similar in that they can both pass and both run. They both have strong arms. Sorsby was 230 pounds, and I think Jackson Davis is like 215. So your fear is if you're like they ran the triple option against Ohio State. That's a great way to get somebody destroyed. But the difference between Taylor, he just has that factor of I'm going to run the game. I'm running the offense. You're listening to me. And, even though IU only scored 3 points against Ohio State, the offense just flowed better with him in it for that certain amount of time. And that's the difference to me. So
is the strong point of the offense with Jackson getting the starting nod? Do you look to IU's offense to be more run dominant? Or you think they're going to be like play action, bootleg? Are they going to push the ball down the field? Like what are we looking at as Cards fans on Saturday?
Well, I'm going to tell you, it's not going to be like Ohio State where they ran the ball like 90 times for 75 yards and did not move the ball all that well. But I think it's going to be more like they did against Indiana State, establish a run and work off of that. Play action, roll Taven out, take their deep shots when you could get them, on double moves, especially if Cam Camper is playing. He's their deep threat down the sideline. I saw the comment, who do you look out in the running game? It's Jalen Lucas and Josh Henderson. One's going to go inside. I mean, they run Jalen Lucas on the inside too. But if Jalen Lucas gets that edge, he's one where you watch a practice, you go, oh, there he goes. There he goes. It's an offense where they want to establish the run, and that's what Walt Bell wants to do. They'll pass it like last year with Connor Bazelak. They threw 70-something passes against Cincinnati. So you don't want to do that, but it's not out of the question that it can be done.
So yeah. Jalen Lucas has that. He has that. I've seen him run. He has that Jawar Jordan type of speed. He's nothing to mess with.
He's a different.
He averages over 5 yards per carry. I did see that because I wondered because I've seen him break away some runs. But him and Jawar Jordan, if you're looking for a comp, I think they have a similar type of skill set. And Jawar's our big big home run threat. Now we have Isaac Garindo, which you probably know, Sammy, from Wisconsin, even though he struggled with some injuries there, and he's our bowling ball for. I mean, he's got some speed to him too, but he's more known for getting hit and falling forward 2 or 3 yards. And then we also have, we have Turner back there as well, Maurice Turner, and he's got some wheels himself. But Jawar Jordan, I would say, is a good comp for what we bring running wise for as far as Jalen Lucas goes. I'm interested in that matchup. I actually think this is a better matchup than you would normally think. I think there's a bit of a stigma about IU football from the last couple of years. Something tells me, though, this year they're not going to be as bad as the last 2 years. And maybe maybe I'm wrong because I don't know a whole lot about IU football. But
it's hard to be worse than the last 2 years.
That's true. But I'm thinking, I guess a better way to word it is I think you're going to be more like the previous 2 years. That's just a guess.
I agree. I think it's more of Tom Allen's first 4 years. Even though they went 5-7 and 27 and 2018, those were solid teams. They were a win away from going to a bowl game. In each of those seasons, they had some one-score games that could have gone either way. But yeah, it's on what has been tabbed a weak slate of college football. This might be the game that you go, oh, it's 2 Power 5 teams. It's a close game. Let's turn it on. Let's somebody find the Big Ten Network and turn it on because it's one of those weeks.
Yeah. Trent and Jesse brings up a good point. He wants to talk about the OL. I know we talked about your all's defensive line being the strength of your defense that you felt. I want to go on the flip side of that. We have a guy in Ashton Gelati who I'm not going to be surprised if he's going pro after this year. The dude's just standing out. He's a star. Is there a particular worry that you have with IU's O-line, against the rush?
Not this year, not overwhelmingly. Well, look, the last 2 years, it's been a turnstile on the offensive line. So anything that has been improved at that is kind of like chilled you out if you're an IU fan. IU brought in Bob Bostad from Wisconsin to be their offensive line coach last year. They fired Darren Hiller in the middle of last year. They brought in the old Rod Carey. And you saw a little bit of improvement, which is tough to ask in the middle of the season. You have no practice time. But the offensive line has been so much better this year. They held up well against Ohio State, who has pros all over that defense and things like that. Now, it's only been 2 games with this offensive line. Yeah, there's always a concern, especially since IU has not finished the season with the quarterback it started with since like 2018. So, I mean, you look 2019, Penix gets hurt. 2020, Penix gets hurt. 2021, Penix and Tuttle get hurt. 2022, Connor Bazelak gets hurt and benched and stuff like that. So it's always in the back of your mind something to worry about. But this offense, they're doing things that they hadn't done since like 29. They're pulling guards, centers. They're just playing more physical to where like you feel decent about them.
Sammy, I had a quick. I wondered if you would give us a prediction as far as what the score is, and there will be no shade that comes your way if you predict your team wins.
Maybe
Nope.
there
Not
won't be.
until you leave.
We'll see to what you say.
Nah.
No, I think it's going to be a close game, and I'm not going to alienate my fan base and say that Louisville's going to win, but I think it'll be a good game. If Louisville could hit those big plays and Jeff Brown comes out aggressive in his play calling, which he likes to do. I've seen him run flea flickers, all fake punts, whatever he wants to run at the right time against IU. Louisville will win the game. You're always kind of scared that IU's gonna, kind of falter in these first big game and big moments you've seen in the past. Kick off out of bounds, pick six on the first drive, something that just puts you behind the chains immediately and kind of buries it. If IU takes care of the ball, creates takeaways on defense, plays alert on defense too, with punt safe, avoids those stupid penalties that set the offense back on kickoff. That's one thing that I'm concerned about is all these penalties on special teams. First against Ohio State is blocking the back and holdings that, take you from the 35-yard line to your 8. Last week it was running into the kicker or on a couple punts and a couple kickoffs out of bounds, and you can't give Jeff Brom 10 free yards. You can't, and you can't give him, if you have 4th and 10 and you run into the kicker and give him 4th and 5, he's probably going to go for it. Let's be honest. So I think if IU cleans up that, they'll win. But if I'm going to prediction, the spread is 10. I bet IU plus 10. I'm going to take IU 31-28 in a barn burner in the only game in this 3-game series. But this game could go either way, and I think it really could make either team's season. If IU wins, you're cooking with gas now. You're probably going into Maryland at 3-1. I don't know who you guys have next, but I assume that a loss to Indiana would not be good. Not taken well for perception of the Louisville program, but yeah, it's a big game for both teams. I hope everybody has a fun time in Indianapolis. It's a great sports city. If you have not been up there for a big event, it's fantastic. So enjoy it. But I'll take IU.
Are you going, Sammy?
Yeah, I do the stats for Don Fisher in the radio booth, so I'll be there.
Oh, okay. I was going to ask what section you were in, 'cause I got thrown into the IU section since the people that reserve the tickets are IU fans. We're not going to talk about that. But anyway, Marco says, hit the like button for this good content. Appreciate the positive feedback, Marco. Yeah, if you have not subscribed, feel free, please subscribe. Obviously, hit that like button. That helps the algorithm, helps people find us. We're still a young and upcoming podcast here, so we're in our early stages, so any help just to get our name out there for more Louisville fans would be great. That being said, does anybody else have anything for Sammy before we?
I think Ross had one more question.
Sammy, you've been more than generous with your time, man. Thank you so much tonight. We really appreciate it. Just personally, I'm a football first guy. I appreciate your passion for the gridiron, man, over the hardwood. When I read that, but it was almost like a mission statement. I saw it, it was just like, all right, this dude gets it. Like, I would just say that IU athletic department and U of L's athletic department are in very similar positions. Like, if they want to take that next step in this NIL and this IU doesn't have to really worry about a conference realignment so much, but if you want to get ahead, you've got to put football first. That's what's generating all the money. That's what's generating all the buzz, so it would be wise and smart. And it would be cool, like you said, if the boosters at IU can embrace football more, the boosters at U of L can embrace football more, so much so that it could overtake basketball. I know the fan bases don't want to hear that, but that's what needs to happen.
You could be good at both.
Leadership just dropped halfway saying that, but I'm with you, man.
It's what needs
to
happen.
Nothing against basketball. I'm a football first guy too.
Yeah. Why can't you be good at everything? I mean, Florida won national championships in football and basketball in the same year. It's
2013 we're example.
Yeah, we had the year of the Cardinal in 2013, and then the curse after that. But we don't talk about the curse.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say, man, thank you. You've been more than generous with your time. You kind of stole my thunder about how I was going to ask you, IU wins if and you basically ran right through that. So I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to come on here and be a guest on our show. And it was very last minute, and we're very appreciative. Thank you.
Well, I thank you guys for your time. Anytime to talk IU football, college football, and a little Jets football, that's the trifecta right there. So
now we're talking. Now we're talking.
Yeah, have a great time on Saturday. Enjoy it, no matter the outcome. Enjoy Indy. I think the weather's going to be great too. go out downtown, avoid the traffic, and avoid construction on the way up from Louisville. But thank you guys for having me on.
Yeah, and guys,
you,
follow
Sammy.
Sammy.
Thank you.
Follow Sammy if you are an unbiased Louisville fan and can get beyond the fact that he's an IU fan. I can, obviously. Hoosier Huddle.
_Huddle.
Hoosier _ Huddle. He has good content, guys. Thank you again, Sammy. And
All right, thank you guys. Have a good night.
Thanks,
You
Sammy.
too, buddy. Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, that was good stuff. Thanks, Ross, for reaching out.
If you would have, good job, Ross. You found an IU fan that is big into football and doesn't like basketball, which is exactly what we needed. Now, you found the needle in the haystack, my friend.
Yeah.
Because most of those guys are Notre Dame football fans. Not throwing shade at IU fans, but it's true. I live here. I live up here. I know.
It's like I've been saying for 10 dang years, where there's a Ross, there's a way, man. I mean. Uh-oh. We lost somebody.
I'm not sure what happened to Kyle there, but he had to bounce in a hurry, it looked like.
Oh,
well, what'd you guys think about this game last weekend? I know we didn't really touch on it much previously because we wanted to get right to our guest. But what'd you guys think about the game against Murray State? I realized we were playing an FCS school, but anytime you get a shutout, you got to be impressed with your defense and impressed with the effort.
Yeah, I mean, it was. I would result. Sorry, did I cut out there? Am I back?
Yeah, you're back.
I would say I was happy with the result. It's not how I expected it to go. I honestly expected us to hang 40 in the first half, like I really did. But the offensive execution has still been a work in progress. Kyle hit on that when we had Sammy on here. A lot of that hangs on Jack and his ability to execute this offense game plan cleanly. The first game, I thought he was pressing too much. I thought immediately from the first snap on Saturday against Murray State, I felt like he was very conscientious of not making mistakes. He was trying so hard not to make mistakes and not push and trying to please Jeff Brom that he held that ball way too long. And so we need him to just go out there and play. And Brom's been trying to say that, in these press conferences, we just need Jack to go out there and take what the defense gives him. Don't press too much. He basically wants Jack to be a game manager. That's what it sounds like to me. And he's not. It's been hard for him thus far. But maybe, opening up the playbook, I mean, generally that's not a great thing for a quarterback that's not doing the easy things right. But it might make him a little bit more comfortable, I mean, I don't know. We'll see.
Well, and I liked the Jeff Brahman's press conference on Monday, which maybe that's what you're talking about, since I had to step out for a second. If you didn't hear my baby yelling my name, she snuck down. She barricaded the door. She threw the door open somehow. Anyway, long story short,
would have her second appearance on the pod. It looks like.
Yeah, she likes to get on the pod. But anyway, Monday's press conference, Brom did bring up the same things that I talked about earlier. If you weren't in here earlier with Jack Plummer, so it's not being negative or critical. I guess it's criticism, but it's positive, healthy criticism. But Jeff Brom brought it up Monday, and it's the same things I've noticed. His feet are not set when he's throwing these long balls, and he's getting them out too late. And he actually brought that up in the press conference, both of those points, and said, he's getting the ball out too late. He's making decisions too late, and his feet aren't set, and he's going to be working on that. I just hope he can. And it's important because I use one of those teams that scares me because I don't think they're as bad as they usually are. And so I think some fans are a little bit like taking them a little bit for granted. I've seen a lot of people comment that we should kill these guys. And hey, I'll be happy if we do. But I think they have a really good defense, and I think it's going to be a good test for Jack. And I'm not willing personally as a fan, if I'm making decisions, I'm not willing to lose a game so that Jack Plummer can learn on the job how to get better. If I feel like we're getting in a I was there at the Georgia Tech game, and I was wrong, obviously, at halftime. I was like, we got to go with somebody else. After he threw that pick right before the half, and he had a really bad half, I was ready to be done with him right then, and I was wrong. And Jeff stuck it out with him, and it paid off. He got better. But I've seen some things even in that Murray State game. I'm still just not totally sold, and that's really what it comes down to.
Yeah,
and I do like hearing Coach Brom talk about, hey, these are the things I see, and obviously he knows his stuff, obviously. But it's just kind of reaffirming to hear, like, hey, yeah, these are some issues. And I just don't want this to become a lingering thing. We've got too much talent out there to skill positions. Too much. We cannot waste that. We cannot afford to waste the talented receivers we have out there because our quarterback's taking too long to get him the ball and his timing's off. We just can't do it. We cannot afford.
Yeah, I mean that was.
It kind of reminds me of the opposite of Lamar Jackson. Like with Lamar, and I'll let you talk, Ross. But with Lamar, he was like amazing, but he didn't have enough talent around him overall. And so we didn't do as well as we could have. And how many times have we all said, what if Lamar had a bit better of an offensive line? What if he had a better defense? And we said that all the time. What if he had a little bit better of receivers around him? But now it's kind of like I don't want it to go the opposite way with it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how you all feel, but like I said, I mean, it just felt like week one, Jack came out there like he wanted to try to make a mark, and he was pushing too much in the first half. And then Brom dialed back the play calling and just reeled it in, leaned on the running game. Week two, I think Jack felt the pressure that he knew he didn't play well. So he was trying not to make mistakes against Murray State. And so, he's sitting there holding the ball too long. He's waiting for guys to come open. They get open. If they're open, you've waited too long. You got to throw guys open. You got to get them coming out of the breaks. You got to trust your wide receivers, and you got to trust the scheme, and you got to throw to your spots. You know what I mean? And you got to read what the defense is giving you. And he just didn't. He looked like a guy that didn't want to make mistakes. I don't know how you all feel about that. But that's what it looked like to me. It just it was polar opposites from week one to week two.
I just feel like, and it's not really going to matter. This, the fans will say what they want, and that's how it's going to be. I do feel like all year long we're going to be doing this back and forth constant critique of Jack and every single throw he makes. And I don't really care for it. Like I said, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that he's been amazing, because he hasn't. But I thought last week was an improvement. I know there was 2 interceptions. The Hail Mary was pathetic. It was pathetic. It was pathetic. Like, you got to give your guy at least a chance to make a play. It was bad.
It's more about the arm strength.
We shouldn't have thrown it anyways. We shouldn't have ran that play. We had nothing to gain from that.
Well, sure, but you still got to. You got to give your guy a chance, right? You got to give your guy a chance.
That was awful, man.
It was not even close. And the other one, that was a bad throw too. But he had a lot of good throws in there. We argued in the Discord over the one that he threw, the touchdown to Jamari Thrash. That was huge.
One guy in the Discord.
But the one guy, like, that's going to get annoying. It's annoying. He threw a beautiful ball, and I know Jamari made the rest happen, but it was a beautiful ball in a very tight window.
Are we talking about that quick slant?
The quick slant to Thrash,
right?
That
was throw.
It was great.
In the stadium, I thought dude had intercepted it for a second. Like I was like, it was so clean. It was so cleanly executed. It didn't even look like it was ran right.
And let's be honest here, Jamari dropped probably the second easiest touchdown of his life. That was another, I thought, a good ball. It might have been a hair off, but it was a good ball. No. And Jamari dropped it. He walks in. So, like, I don't want to do this constant critique back and forth every week of every throw.
I'm with you.
I think we're going to do it anyways, but it is what it is.
I brought those good throws up too. But here's the thing, man. If our quarterback's balling out, you're not going to hear these critiques for the most part. You might get one fan off in the corner, like with the slant route thing, the Jamari. That was like, but you've got a lot of people that are questioning it. I think a lot of people are. I mean, we all met, Ross. You know this. We all met at halftime, like 10 or 15 of us. I feel like all of us came with the same overall conclusion, which is, and it's not that like we're even trashing on. I mean, Jack Plummer might be okay. What we don't want to see happen is the inverse Lamar Jackson effect, which is where we have all of these weapons and nobody to get them the ball. That's what we don't want to
I
see.
think
And I'll
Fabian
tell
is
you what,
making
when
my
we get the
point.
better teams, I think what people's mindset, I'm just telling you what the mindset is. Somebody like me, and there's more people like me that have the same type of thoughts, was like, okay, against Murray State, we got away with some of these things. But like the slant route, for example, it's a great pass. He seems to be killing it on the slant route and the out patterns. He seems to be doing really well. What happens, though, if we can't stretch the ball 20 to 30 yards downfield and we play Notre Dame? I'll even go as far as saying UK, who, I know how we all feel, but we've got to do things against better teams. We got to have more than that, especially with these receivers, because I have no doubt if we get them the ball, they're going to more. I mean, I know Jamari Thrash had the drop. More often than not, that's not going to happen. So we've got the weapons. And I think that some of the concern is like, my God, you don't have to be Peyton Manning out there or even Shedeur Sanders. I see that comment in there. You got to get the ball downfield, though, man, consistently.
Well, Kyle, I'm not going to argue with you on the deep ball stuff because you're right. To this point, he hasn't consistently shown the ability to hit the deep ball. But I think Fabian kind of makes my point, and I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be the you go out there and do better. That's not what I'm trying to do. But I feel like, and Fabian says no QB is going to throw a perfect ball every time.
No,
I feel like
that.
we are kind of expecting, at least maybe to me, it just comes off that way, that we're expecting almost perfection out of Jack. And I don't feel like that's even remotely possible, or even, I don't know. I just feel like we're expecting perfection sometimes, and it's not going to be perfect. It certainly hasn't
keep a
to this
defense
point.
honest. I just want him to be able to get the ball downfield, because against better teams, like if you look at the stats, and I think those can be a little deceiving too. I think the stats against a Murray State can be deceptive. I don't think he played bad. I don't, but I also think
this is what I mean. It's, you know what I mean? Like I try to defend him. I'm
I
not
see
even.
the comment
It is
about
what it
Ty
is.
and Jack must be related. But
It
look,
is what it is.
All I'm saying is we got to be able to keep the possibility of being a downfield threat open. I actually was looking at the Murray State game as a litmus test to see if he would throw the deep ball more, which he did. He shows the potential. He showed the potential at Purdue, which is why I'm also a little disappointed. I don't know how many people watched Jack Plummer games at Purdue. I did. What I've seen from him here isn't what I expected based on seeing him play at Purdue. So I'm a little bit confused by that as well. And I'm hoping that, like, Fabian's correct when he says, I apologize if I'm mispronouncing your name, but he says he'll be fine once he gets used to his new teammates. There could be a little bit of that going on. So, I guess.
I mean,
I'm just hoping he doesn't lose his game. I'm hoping, like, if we get behind too, and that's another thing. Like, let's say we get behind, which we did against Georgia Tech, and he helped bring us back. Let's say some team's scoring at will, and we play a dynamic offense. Jack's going to have to keep up. We're going to have some big plays to keep up with those teams. I don't know if he can do it or not. I'm not saying he can't. I'm saying that the jury is still out for me. It's not. I'm not sold.
There is the last thing I'll say about. There's definitely still room to improve for Jack. There's this.
Yeah.
I don't think it's been as bad as fans are acting like it has been. But there is definitely still room to improve, and I couldn't agree more. The deep ball has got to improve.
Yeah, I mean, to me, going back to what I was saying about Brom and his comments and pressers the past 2 weeks, and even leading up to the season, Jeff wants the game to just come to Jack. He wants the game to just come to him and him to take. He wants him to just manage the game. You know what I mean? So if that's the case,
that's awesome.
To me, I think there's a lot of blame to go around on the offensive play calling in the first half of the Georgia Tech game, and I think Brom owned up to that a lot. I think he said so. To me, if you want a game manager, you got to get the running game going. It's extremely important. And I see what you're saying, Kyle,
Yeah, so we're off of YouTube.
Fine, YouTube. We'll turn it off.
Yeah, we're off of YouTube. We'll stick to StreamYard. As far as my IU prediction goes, that kind of sucks. Screw you, YouTube. Anyway, as far as IU goes, I am worried about their defense a little bit. I think that's a strength. I think it's going to be a close game. I think our defense does pretty well, but but I do think we give up a couple of big plays in secondary, mainly because of our safeties being out right now. I saw some weaknesses there from the Murray State game. I'm going to predict that we win a close game. Louisville 27, IU 20. That's my prediction.
What do you think, Ash?
So I think that I think we're gonna win the game like everybody else does on the pod. I think that Brom's familiarity, having played Tom Allen teams the last several years, is going to come into play here. And I'm going to predict that we're going to win 30-10.
I'll be honest. I think Jeff Brom. I don't think he has a lot of. He kind of hates IU. I feel like I don't know. I feel like he beats them all the time. I know IU fans don't like Jeff Brom. I have a feeling we'll probably win this one fairly easily. I think IU can make some things happen on offense with Taven Jackson's running ability. Their defense is impressive so far. I'm thinking we pull away in the second half. I'm predicting 39-27 Louisville.
Okay, so Kyle said 27-20. Ash said 30-10. You said 29.
39-27.
39-27. Yeah, I'm gonna stick to kind of what I was saying. Like, I kind of share that sentiment with you, Ty. Like, Jeff Brom is like, yeah, like he's got a lot of familiarity with IU there, being at Purdue, and being here, being a local guy. It's like I feel like he wants to just kind of put IU in their place a little bit.
I think he wants to stick it to him. I think he's made that a point.
And I don't know if you're gonna stick it to him, but like I agree with that, and I'm also have very similar feelings to Kyle. I think it's going to be competitive for a while. I think this is a year where IU has one of their better teams than they've had.
Looks like we're back, fellas.
So
looks like we're back on.
I'm gonna say that it's close, but we pull away in the end. I could see it being like a 27-20 game, but we get a late score and it's 34-20. That's kind of where I'm at, and we beat the spread, and we go out there and take care of business and do what we got to do. So
look at that. We got people that camped out and waited on this stream to come back up. I'm here for it.
Yeah.
I appreciate you guys sticking in there, waiting, see if we.
I mean, do we want
to
We want to run our predictions back real quick? I mean, just quick recap.
Yeah. So quick recap, since the listeners on Spotify, Google, and all that are going to hear it again. I predict a close game. I predict we're going to see some issues with their defense. I think they have a really good defense. I understand IU has not been good for the last couple of years, and overall usually isn't very good. So that can kind of give you an idea that we're going to blow these boys out, and I hope we do. But I predict a close game. I predict that we do have enough firepower to pull it out in the end, and their inexperience at their quarterback position will hopefully be something our defense can take advantage of. I've got us winning 27-20.
Yeah, and then I was up next with, my point was the familiarity with Brom to IU having played Tom Allen teams over the last several years. And my prediction was that we would win 30-10.
Trent and Connor, there's a ticket for 2 to hell. It leaves in 10 minutes, boys. I just letting you know.
Oh my God.
Anyways,
get a look at this guy.
Anyways, no, I thought Louisville wins 39-27. Probably pull away in the second half. Taven Jackson, his running ability is dangerous. I think it could cause some problems. We have kind of struggled a little bit to contain the quarterbacks in the pocket whenever they get out of the pocket and run. It's been a little bit of a problem. And I think he can do that. They have a strong defense. I think they keep it close for a little bit. I think we pull away 39-27 the second half, and Jeff Brom continues his dominance over Indiana.
And I'm going to date myself right here. I will show respect to Ty there. I would say that the listeners did a good job of hanging in there, man, and coming. The stream came. I don't know what happened there, but I would say
YouTube. You know when I said screw you, YouTube? Yeah, I was just playing. Yep,
yeah,
we're good.
you know I plan.
I was
plan.
kidding around, man. No
But
more highlights. We're fine.
Yeah,
That
our
kind of
loyals,
sucks
man.
because I feel like a lot of people love the highlights, but I think that's what got us.
Yeah, our loyals lasted longer than Jim Jim in bed with Nadia in American Pie.
We just got a Fed in here. I think Connor's probably our Fed. He probably reported us.
I think this game is I'm with Kyle. I think this game's gonna be close. And we'll pull it out. We'll be up a score, and I think we'll get a late score, and it'll be 34-20 Cards. We beat the spread. And it looks good, and we go into Boston College, next week with some continued positive energy.
If we lose to IU and I have to go home, first off, they want to get pizza.
Why would you put that juju out there?
Yeah.
Well, you're not the one that has to be with 3 IU fans.
Yeah, look where I grew up. I got all these people on my Facebook feeds.
Yeah, but I'll be in a car with them, and they want to eat afterwards. Like, it'll be so horrible. I won't want to be around them. I won't want to see their stupid IU outfits. I mean, you guys are going to be – I know my brother-in-laws. I know at least one of them's going to be listening. I don't want you guys to win. I don't even want to see your face. I'm not going to say your name out loud. I don't want to see your face if we lose in football to you guys. It's one thing to lose in basketball to another basketball school, even though I don't like that either. It's a whole nother – because like the IU fan base as collective whole, they don't care that much. Now, one of my brother-in-laws is a big IU football fan, to his credit. So I'll give him the prop. The other one does not care. He's coming for the food and just probably to get away from having a wife and a bunch of kids and just to hang out with the guys for a day. That's my guess. But I'll hear it from him. He'll be the one to say something, make me mad if we lose this game. Don't do it, Louisville. Don't do it. No pressure. No pressure. Don't do it. Don't you dare lose this game. Don't do it.
The last time I was
don't do it to me.
The game's at Lucas Oil, right?
Yes.
Yeah, the last time I was in that building wasn't a good experience. So
I was there too.
Well, you're not going to be there, so that's good.
Last time I was in there was when we lost in the Elite Eight. So.
Oh no, I thought you were going to say the Lamar Jackson when we went and played Purdue in Lucas Oil.
I was there for that game too. That was my first time.
The Michigan State loss was the last time I was in Lucas Oil.
Lucas Oil is a beautiful stadium.
Actually, no. I went to the Final Four whenever Duke and Wisconsin played for the championship.
I was having an outer body experience in that second half. I was so distraught. I was like, what am I watching right now? Like, Brom's about to beat us. That was one of the ugliest wins I think we've ever had.
It felt. I honestly walked out feeling like we lost and we had won.
Yeah, the game. I started. That was when I first said I don't think Bobby Petrino's the guy, and I started a thread on the free football board back then, and that was before I think it was even a thought that maybe this isn't going to work, because you got to think it was still Lamar. He was still here, but I hated the way we were coaching that game.
The
Peter Sermon experiment was.
I got a lot of grief on the boards for that.
Not good.
Hey, I gotta ask Ash, highlight that last one in the comments there, Captain Hampton.
What is this? Second here. I got to change off our banners.
What is this? What is this IU mom fighting people in the tail? Is this like a normal thing? Like, I don't know. What? Give us some.
I have no idea.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
I haven't heard about it.
I don't know anything about it. Captain Hampton, you're going to have to give us some more insights.
We can't look it up on YouTube. If there's
there's a YouTube look on YouTube. She better not be at the Hilton Hotel getting the line for my orange juice and waffles. I'll tell you that much.
Favorite tailgate breakfast food since we got a nooner. I'm going to go with bacon, egg, and cheese with green onion on top on an omelet.
Omelet, man. Omelet's the way to go, man. That's
omelet
so
station's
good.
Always clutch.
Yeah. I can't believe it's a nooner. That sucks.
It does. I'll
be there.
I'll give me some biscuits, open them up, lay the bacon and the sausage and the ham and spinach, anything. Lay that, the eggs, all that. Lay that right on top of the open faced biscuits. Pour that gravy all
Ooh, I
over
can't do the
it.
gravy with spinach in it though. I
Hey,
mean, I
Oh,
like
Captain
the
Ham-
mint, but not with the
no, it's
gravy.
so
Captain
good.
Hampton
You
posted
gotta-
it on
you gotta-
X. Does
you
anybody
gotta
have their
get
X
that.
open on their computer where they can
You
upload
got
it
to
on
get
there?
all that iron
I'm
and all
afraid
that
YouTube will
goodness of
shut
that
us down for that
spinach.
too, but I could try.
Not for
Gotta get it
X.
down
Surely
in
not
there.
X. Yeah, we're gonna
It's
look
put it-
up
Twitter. No,
It's
Twitter.
listeners. We're gonna look up this. It says Indiana MILF wanted all the smoke. So this must be some sort of tailgating beef.
Oh,
Let's do
yo,
it.
wait a minute. Hold
All
up.
right, we're
What?
gonna do it.
What am
Now,
I
Hold on.
searching?
Is this safe for work? Is this
Hey,
safe for YouTube? We've already
listen,
got a strike.
with the feds already got us once, Captain Hampton. We don't want it twice, man.
No, let's do it.
What am I looking up though? What am I looking?
It's on Discord. It's on
Uh,
Twitter. He shared the link in
X.
Discord.
Go
Or
to our
X,
Discord
X,
and
whatever
there
it
you
is.
go.
I'm finding it. Hold on. Okay, hold on. Wait for it.
You might want to play it first, make sure it's not because
Who
Twitter or X
He
does
might be setting
allow
us up
nudity.
here.
I found
Who
that out
wants
the
to
hard way too.
Who wants to narrate this for the listeners?
I mean,
Yeah.
I think we just watch it.
I haven't seen no terms of service stuff just yet, but we're 10 15 seconds in.
Yeah, I just want to make sure I'm not gonna put something on Twitter because I mean or on
Damn.
the stream that.
I don't think we're gonna play audio because I haven't listened to audio and I'm not gonna chance that. But
Yeah.
Well, let's see the video.
yeah, I think we're fine on the video. I ain't seen no
Is
TRA.
she taking like a left or right breasticle and just like flogging people with it?
Yeah,
You
we're
know,
not.
like-
None of that. None of that. Okay, hold on. Let's see here. All right,
You
I'm
ever
gonna
seen
go ahead
that
and share
chick-
it. I'll let y'all.
You ever
do
seen
that.
that chick that the video on the beach where she puts the beer cans down and she just takes her breast and just smashes the beer cans? That's what I picture her IU mom like. That's how I'm picturing right now.
Yeah.
All right, let's see what we got here. I'm gonna narrate it. Okay, we got squabble.
Holy.
There's like 4 people surrounding her. There's nobody stopping this rabid woman.
She's
I think-
throwing punches. She's not even slapping. She's
I
throwing
can't
close
confirm, but I think all 18 IU football fans are actually here at this tailgate.
Look, she
She's
hit
got-
that woman for no reason. That woman was just minding her own business.
She's got her Linda glasses on, and she's got a ponytail that's pulled 2/3 of the way down her head. It's on her neck, like the ponytail scrunchy thing.
Oh look! Oh, this
And now
is
she's-
Whoa!
Now she's
another
fighting
girl's
little
ready
kids.
for it.
She's fighting little kids. This is this is a.
Child abuse.
I mean, if you're gonna stereotype a Karen,
oh
it kind of
look!
looks
Somebody
like a
came in
Karen.
and whacked her. Is that that other little girl that's getting chippy with her?
The narration might
Hey.
have been better than the actual video.
Thanks to my brother-in-law is putting us in the IU section. I'm probably sitting next to this woman. It's gonna be a terrible Saturday.
Hey, you better
after I
be
eat my
looking out
omelet.
She's like,
blonde
"Oh
in
my
the
god,
ponytail.
why'd you hit me? Oh my god."
I'm so afraid I'm gonna be next to a bunch of obnoxious IU fans. They're gonna bring up the stupid title
Kyle,
because
you
that's
said
all they care
don't
about is
care
basketball.
football.
I'll be like, dude, they did that crap. You know, when Donovan Mitchell went there, first Pacers game for the Jazz, I went with my brother-in-law to that because they wanted to go. And my nephew, sure enough. And we all went up there and watched Donovan's first game. And so a bunch of people wore Louisville shirts and we were all celebrating. Some idiot, he had an IU sweatshirt on. I was like, yeah, well, that's why he lost his banner in college. I was like, you idiot. Donovan was here in like 2015 or 2016. He wasn't even a freaking moron. Made me so mad. I was like, he wasn't even on the championship team. Shut up. But anyway,
Man.
my point is I'll probably be sitting next to a bunch of jokers like this. And if it is, I'm going to find one of you guys at the game, and I'm coming to your section. I'll sit in
I
your
will
damn
be-
lap
yeah,
before
I was gonna say,
before
look,
get in a
man,
fight with
if
IU fans.
If stuff goes down, just stand up, calmly
I'll walk away.
walk to the aisle and walk up and go somewhere else because that's a big stadium. Just go
I'm too
away
damn
from it.
old and I'm sober nowadays. I'm not fighting people.
So, yeah, I mean, I don't know what's the game by fighting an IU fan and IU football.
Well, I have
fan
no
anyway.
desire. I'm just saying. I hope I'm not next to a bunch of obnoxious fans.
Yeah, I
now.
know that.
I'm not
I
gonna
know
be
that's what I'm
fighting
just saying.
anybody. But that being said,
Well, guys,
Let's see.
what did you guys think about Louisville Live getting canceled? What were your thoughts on that?
Oh
We gonna do
man,
this
we
real-
better
we
make
gonna
this
do this real
quick.
quick.
We gotta make this quick. I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care about the event getting canceled. It wasn't going to be good. It was going to be poor attendance. If I'm being blunt, last year's Louisville Live sucked from all accounts. I was supposed to go.
It
I was
wasn't.
so upset already with the start of Kenny Payne's tenure in the offseason last year. I decided I wasn't going. I was pretty mad. I heard it was a complete cluster. I heard you couldn't hear because
was.
people were talking over each other in different areas. I heard the sound system. I heard everything about it was terrible. So then you compound that fact with the season that we had and the lack of any sort of positivity this offseason because the big pieces we thought we were going to get, two of them are, at least one of them's gone. It sounds like Tyler Johnson's got quite a road to get eligible. So, you know, that brings us to like Dennis Evans, Sky Clark, White, and then that's good, but that's not enough. Let's be honest. So there's not a lot of optimism. There's not a lot of juice. I don't mind they canceled it. I think it's odd that they waited so long to announce it. And I heard Josh Hurd on the drive with Mark Ennis and Biscuit earlier today. He was on there and he said, well, we knew it for months and we just didn't know when we should tell you guys. And I thought, well, probably not in mid-September when everybody's getting on X and they're saying like, what's going on with Louisville Live? What's going on with Louisville Live? What's going on? Drop that news in the summer. That gives you plenty of time because there's people that, not me, I'm not one of them, but there was people that were prepared to go to that event thinking, hey, we might still have this. And they were holding out hope. I don't know why, but they were.
I've been to every Louisville Live since it started. I went last year. I was not impressed last year. People could say what they want about how we feel about the coaching staff and stuff. It's got nothing to do with that. I just thought it was not well put together last year. I thought the venue was cool, but it was just seemed like a Mickey Mouse organization just running it. I did not plan on going this year. I just don't have a lot of excitement about basketball right now, unfortunately. I do think the biggest problem with not having it is it really hurts Jeff Walls and his program. That's always been a really cool thing for them to give them a little more recognition, and not having it, frankly, just hurts them more than it helps or hurts the men's side, in my opinion.
I will add to that. I was actually told that Jeff Walls is perfectly fine not doing Louisville Live. I'm confident in who told me that, and I thought that was odd. But you know, I don't know. Maybe he's not a big fan of it for reasons I don't know, or maybe he just thinks the spotlight's too much. I don't know. I don't want to speculate.
That might be true.
I don't
just, from
speculate,
me,
but
at an outside perspective, I think it hurts.
I'm with you too.
His program not having it. It just puts a spotlight on his program. It's free press, and you know the fans enjoy it. It's a fan event, but it's more so been a recruiting event. And let's just be honest, right now as it stands, Louisville men's basketball recruiting, there's nothing cooking right now.
No,
So
I think that's the biggest problem, Ty, and I'll let
Hey,
you
there's a lot
guys
of
go.
silence,
I just
I
wanted
know
to
that.
say real quick that my bigger problem with Louisville Live isn't that we're not having it this year because we're not in a position to have it. That's my biggest problem, that we're not in a position, because in order to have Louisville Live, you need to have a positive product that fans are optimistic enough about to attend. You need to have recruits available that would benefit from going to the event. And you need to have the ability to organize the event in a very clear and concise way. We have none. We strike three, you're out. We're not in a position. The product on the court may be better this year, but there are question marks. And certainly if you base it off of what we've seen thus far, you cannot guarantee that with any remote amount of rationality. You have to believe it, or you have to see it to believe it. I'm sorry. The second thing is no recruits in 2024. We could trot out some kid from 2026 who's got his learner's permits. Those parents have to drive him to the freaking event because he doesn't have his driver's license yet. Yeah, that's what we want to see. And then the third thing is you got to have the organization to be able to do it. We didn't see that last year. And you got to have a coaching staff that's motivated enough and has the energy to put into the event. Do we really think Kenny Payne wants to, sit in front of the fans and do a rah-rah? Doesn't match anything we've seen thus far from Kenny Payne. So the long story short, to summarize, and I'll pass it off to you guys, I don't care that we're not doing it this year because doing it this year would be worse than not doing it. My problem is that we are in a position to where we have to say it's better to not do it. That's pathetic. That's pathetic. We're even in a position where we are like, you know what, let's just not do it.
My biggest complaint about the cancellation really isn't the fact that they canceled it to begin with. But I feel like the administration has lost a little bit of the trust that I had placed in them by the lack of transparency reflected in some of the comments made by Josh Hurd about the cancellation process, and saying that they've known for months that they weren't going to have it and just didn't say anything. I mean, to me, that just feels like, okay, well, you're hiding things, you're just not telling us. The transparency of it was not very good, and it reflects poorly on the administration, in my opinion, to come across that way. So I feel like it was it lost a little bit of my trust, and I'm going to be skeptical of any of their efforts moving forward as far as building new traditions or anything like that. So that's just definitely a red flag for me.
Macro's right. We don't need traditions that last. It sucks.
Yeah, I'm with you there, Ash. I mean, a big part of leadership is directing the narrative. And we've talked about that on this pod numerous times. And I will say that the leadership, I love, I fully support what they're doing. I'm a fan. I am a believer. But this did feel like there were maybe some training wheels on there a little bit, and maybe it's a situation where, the basketball program, the men's basketball program, was kind of on the fence, and then the whole Trenton Flowers stuff happened last month, and that kind of derailed everything, and then that put Hurd in the AD athletic department in a really bad situation to where, like, well, I guess we're not going to do this, I think it was kind of on the fence, and then some things kind of happened. But in a major leadership role like that, you've got to command the narrative. You've got to make the narrative, and you've got to steer the fans and your support where you want them to be. So I know that Hurd went out on put himself out on a ledge today. And he said that, it had absolutely nothing to do with Kenny. To me, those are strong leadership qualities, even if that's not true. Okay.
That's correct. That's good. He took that responsibility.
Yeah. So I'll give him his flowers on that. Like, I think that's strong. I think on the flip side of that, if you're playing the politics of it, you're not going to be able to say things don't work out this year. You're not going to be able to have a staff that's going to say, well, our leadership administration railroaded us and said, we didn't want to do this. And it's just like, there's nothing. That was a strong move to me by Hurd to do what he did today. Yeah, there could have been some things that were different, but I'm not upset that Louisville Live's not happening. I was not excited about it at all. I did go last year. I went with some of us. We met up, some of us in the Discord. We met up last year. I thought the layout was clunky where they had, maybe the Bats probably had a lot to say about that. But, I thought that they were going to have the court where you would have a baseline kind of like on first base line or on the third base line. And then you would have a sideline of the court running a third base. Basically you would have a corner of the court near home plate.
The stage was so far away, man.
Yeah,
it was so far
away. It was so far away, and then you couldn't see. And then you had the issue with you had umpteen million MCs that were talking on a mic.
Dude.
Like, I love rap music, but one thing that is hard to listen to when you go to a rap concert sometimes is there's like 8 dudes with a mic, right? Like, it's hard to listen to. It's not a good product, like, just not. So there was a lot of, I won't call it Mickey Mouse, but I mean, it just wasn't, it didn't flow like it did at 4th Street. It didn't flow like it did at Churchill Downs. Like, it was a miss last year. As Randy Jackson said, it's going to be a no from me, dog.
The MC thing, man, you bring that up. It's like too many Chiefs, not enough Indians, dude. There's so much going on. I can't follow what's happening. The stage was so far away. They might as well put that shit in center field because it was so far away. It pretty much was. It pretty much was. I mean, that was insane.
I did find his budgeting comment interesting. He said something like it would cost $400,000 to do it, and he feels like we don't need to be spending that money right now. That could have nothing to do with.
I was gonna hit on that. So
It could
I
have
meant to hit
nothing to
on
do
that.
with the staff, but I mean, I'm just saying, looking on the outside, looking in, how do we really go ahead, people, and say this is being negative? I don't care. I'm just using common sense. How does it look right now? If you're just like, let's say you're a college basketball fan for a different team, you just kind of look in on Louisville every once in a while. Maybe you're a rival, maybe you live in the area, but you're a fan of somebody else. So you're non-biased, and you keep looking at all the things going on in the actions and the inactions in a lot of cases. What does it look like is going on right now? Be honest. When you're assistant coach, I don't give a crap what people say was Nolan Smith's reason for interviewing for a G League job, which if you look at the G League coaches in the league that he was going to be coaching in, there's no big names. So I don't want to hear this some illustrious job. There's no big names. I only recognize one name. It was Andre Miller, and it's because he was a player for the Utes.
Are you trying to tell me the Washington Go-Go's is not an illustrious job,
So
Kyle?
You see things like that. You look at our recruiting or lack thereof in 2024. You look at things like this. We're canceling Louisville Live because we're trying to save money. You look at players that leave and you can say the player left for a better opportunity overseas.
He's killing it. He's doing well.
He is doing well, but it's also, then we hear all these stories about how, and we know it's from people that were directly involved with Trenton Flowers and his family. We hear stories now that they were a headache the whole time, which completely conflicts with everything we were hearing from the staff and from, people close to the staff, that all these guys were in cahoots and were just positive and feeding off of each other. All of a sudden we hear, well, that's actually not true. Trenton Flowers wasn't showing up to a lot of the team workouts. Trenton Flowers' family had a lot of demands. They were really annoying and over the top. So then at the very least, you don't know what's true and what's not. I have a feeling the latter was true since the actions of Trenton Flowers showing he was more than willing to leave in August. So long story short, to summarize all those points, there are things that are lining up. When you're an outsider looking at this program, you're like, dude, the rails are coming off. The rails are coming off. How do you get back on this? Yeah, win games. Well, he didn't even set a goal for how many, what is the minimum expectation of wins this year, or what is your goals as far as what you hope to achieve? No, we don't talk about that. So he doesn't have that. So when I'm looking, you can call it being negative. I call it looking at something and seeing it for what it is. And there are times where you can be overly negative or beat something up. I'm not one that rehashes 4-28, 4-28, 4-28. All the lack of guards last year, all that stuff, last year. I haven't forgotten it, and it makes me skeptical going into this year, but I'm not browbeating on that. But I look at this situation, and I look at what Josh Hurt is doing and saying, and maybe I'm mistaking his comments about trying to save $400,000. But to me, we're starting to hear things as well behind the scenes where people said, look, he's probably going to get more time. All of a sudden, these people are like, actually, I think we need to really look at these coaches. We've heard a couple of coaches we need to be looking at from people that are very trustworthy. And I'm like, which I'm not going to get into that right now because I don't want to get into who our next coach is going to be yet. We're not quite there. But all I'm saying is the thinking of the collective fan base and those up top, I'm starting to see a shift. I'm starting to see the realization that this is not going to work. It's not going to work. And maybe I'm wrong, but I'm seeing way too many signs that the wheels are coming off this wagon and we're done after this year.
Yeah. I mean, I had texted into Rutherford's show like the beginning of the week, maybe even last week, because this is, the Louisville Live topic has been alive and well amongst the fan base for a couple of weeks now. People have been asking about it. I mean, to me, this could have gone without ever even making an announcement. And I wouldn't have agreed with that. Like I said, I think you should try to steer the narrative. But I think the longer it went, it was clearly obvious that the athletic department doesn't seem willing to spend the money on the product at this point. That, it's almost like they're looking to cut their losses, kind of, or save their chips. That's what it feels like to me. It looks like they're starting to handcuff money a little bit and they're not willing to invest. That's what it looks like to me, being honest and being fair about it. And you can disagree with that all you want, and you can disagree that that's not fair. It's only a second year. But this day and age, when you have free agency in college basketball, in college sports, that 3-year window is gone now. That 3-year window's gone. You don't get an automatic 3 years. You better start showing out, because there's coaches that are coming in and changing things around in 1 year. And it's always been possible in college basketball to turn it around in 1 year. I've made that abundantly clear every time we've started this pod. Anytime we've ever talked about that. Football is a little harder. It's a little bit harder. Basketball, you can go out and get 3 studs, and you can go and change your entire team in 1 season. And that was before NIL. So I don't want to hear that. Like, I'm sorry. I've been positive, but if you're being fair and you're being honest and you're being without being one way or the other, it's clear what's going on right now. It looks like the administration doesn't want to spend any more money on this product.
It's pretty sad that people can't also like understand that, Ross. Like, and I don't want to hear excuses this year. Like, I don't want to talk too much about basketball, but we're here.
We're here.
I don't want to hear excuses. I don't want to hear excuses this year. That this is Kenny Payne's team now. This is Kenny Payne's team.
No way around
guys like JJ
that.
Traynor, Mike James. I know he inherited, but he kept them, and to this point, they've played more for him than they played for any other coach. Pretty much, it's Kenny's team. There's no more excuses. Get the job done, and if he truly is what people believe he is to be, and what I hope he is, I want that for him more than anything. I want it. If he's truly that, then the results will show, and we'll be back to kicking butt before too long. But the excuses are off the table. I don't want to hear more excuses. Get the job done.
Okay, so I want to talk about this tweet Connor shared in the Discord. This guy Craig Ewing, I see his comments sometimes on Twitter.
Oh, he's a local comedian.
He's a local comedian. That's what I was going to say. So he put breaking: U of L athletics officials have heard complaints about canceling Louisville Live and have agreed to host a more modest version called Louisville Hospice.
Hey, I'm a sunshine guy, but like
somebody got real mad in the comments. Somebody got real mad in the comments.
That's hilarious.
Louisville
Hospice.
Paul Kincaid said, "Get over it, people." Like, come on, get a sense of humor, Paul Kincaid. Come on, man, that's funny.
Yeah,
Paul Kincaid. I don't know if you had a bad day. That's funny. It's okay to laugh, Paul.
He had a couple other tweets earlier today too about, or maybe it was in the past couple of days, about IU canceling the game, and IU was going to have to wear yellow and cream or something as part of the negotiation deal or something. Like, I didn't even know what that meant, crazy. But he had like he had 2 or 3 tweets about the cancellation, IU backing out, and they were good. So
yeah, that's great.
All right, man. We all guys think we got any closing thoughts?
Yeah, I think we're wrapping it up here. You guys, you got anything last and final to say, Kyle?
Nah, man. Like I said, I do expect a tough game Saturday. Louisville football, Coach Brom, you got to pull this out, man.
Let's get
I cannot go get back in the car with 3 IU fans and only 1 Louisville fan and go eat afterwards. I will puke up all my food.
They're going to take his ass to Pizza King as is, and that sucks.
No, we're not going to Pizza King. We're going to Pies and Pines. I heard it's good. I don't know, though. I don't know. My brother-in-law claims the best pizza place ever. He actually tries to diss my favorite pizza place. He's like, it's not Pies and Pines. Well, we're going to see. We're going to see.
Man, I think I'd have to make a detour and go through Mooresville, so I go to Gray Brothers and get a pie.
Yeah,
man,
never had it.
I got a Pies and Pines in Noblesville and in Carmel. I'm not sure which one they want to go to, but I'm only looking forward to it if we win.
You're going to Pizza King, and you're getting your drinks and your pizza brought out on a choo-choo train, baby.
Dude, Ty, how about you? Got any final thoughts tonight?
Yeah, let's all go have fun at the game. Everybody that's going. I'll be in section 220. If you see me, come say hey. I know a lot of us in the Discord will probably meet up at halftime somewhere. So come say hey, hang out. drink a beer, watch the game.
Danny Grace says SMU is paying Louisville for Louisville Live. We're good. That's pretty funny, Danny. Crypto.
Funny and true.
And true. But yeah, anyways, come say hey. Let's have fun. I think we'll come out victorious. It'll be a good day for Cards fans. Jets 1-0, Bills, Bengals 0-1. That's all I got to say. We're done.
Thank you for watching Third Banner Pod. Like and subscribe if you're still with us after YouTube even YouTube couldn't hang with us. YouTube gave up. They said, fine, just get back on there. All right. Yeah. Good luck, guys. We'll see you next time. Go Cards.
Good luck. Joe Burrow had 82 more passing yards than I did.
Baby.
Later.
Go Cards, go Kroger.
Don't